Anyway, my name is Louis. I'm from City Life of Urbana. I'm really glad to be here. I am so glad. You gotta forgive me. I get a little bit emotional sometimes. I think we're living in one of the greatest times ever in this country. Other people might not think so, but what's happening, this is the first time really where we're all going to be gathered together. What's happening to me is happening to you. You know what I mean? Yep. No more class C. It's a class here, the 1% and the 99%. You know what I mean? Yep. And we're in the 99%. So this is one of the best times ever, whereas, you know, your kids, my kids, your dad, my mom, you know what I mean? All of that things. And Reggie will just see on to what's going on.
First of all, I apologize for us being so late. We have a few transportation problems getting here, but we're glad to be here. We're glad to be involved with the statewide coalitioning of Occupy everywhere. We believe that it's necessary at this state and time, and we're really just glad that we were invited to be here, and hopefully you will receive an invitation to come to Boston if you like.
You'll accept an invitation to come.
Maybe have I don't know what I thought, a smaller group, a bigger group, but anyway. After almost 3 years of fighting foreclosure, in the city of Boston, this has become the model that City Life is now using. And we intend to take this model to as many places across the country that will invite us to come and speak. Or, as many places where they're fighting foreclosure and they even have an upstart of concerned citizens that are starting Occupy movements, or if they're just other non-profits. So what I'll do is I'll just go through it with you, just for kind of short on time. I'm glad to be here. My name is Reggie and O. I actually came to the city like about 3 years ago as a tenant that was in the foreclosure building. And in my case, it was about a year before I found out that the owner had lost the building, and I was still paying rent. So when I went to City Life, I went reluctantly with my wife, who was, pretty, at this point, pretty hysterical and pretty emotionally wound tight, because at the same time we started going to City Life, I got laid off from my job. So I was kind of like, well, I can take care of this. And the truth of the matter was, I wasn't in a position to move. I couldn't afford to move, right? So at the first couple of meetings, I just sat. My wife was engaged, and I sat in the back, and she sat in the front, and I didn't think they could do anything for me. But as I began to listen to the educational part of City Life's program, I found that there were certain rights I had as a tenant that I didn't even know I had. And a lot of the sword and the shield is based on those tenant rights. And later on, I found out some of the owner options that owners have to fight foreclosure. So the sword, as it says, we refer to this as the three-legged stool, because the sword is public protest, public actions, public visuals. It will take on the public contacting the legislature. In case I've been here, it's aldermen, and in Massachusetts, there's city reps. But we contact them, and we actually send out what's referred to as a public letter. Once you become a member of City Life, you're a homeowner or a tenant, everybody writes, which is equivalent to like a grievance letter, and it's addressed to the bank. And in the letter, the tenants or the homeowners take responsibility for the foreclosure problem that they're in, even though the banks would love for us to do that. So we send those letters out to the legislature. So the sword is public protest, vigils, rallies, blockades. And the difference between, for instance, a vigil and a blockade is a vigil will come to a call and they say, you know what, I'm going to be foreclosed on probably in 3 months, and I really like to make the community aware of what's going on. And what we'll do, we'll come out, 10, 15, 30 people. We'll have a candlelight visual. Residents, the people who are in foreclosure may be asked to speak. We'll contact the media will come out, and we'll have a visual. And we'll highlight this issue, whatever community it's in. A blockade, on the other hand, is where a family is against a 40-hour notice to vacate the property after auction. And again, we'll contact the media, we'll contact the legislature, we'll invite reps to come out, and we'll get 20 or 30 people. In some cases, there'll be civil disobedience, but some people will agree to be arrested. You know, we'll line up on the stairs, in the back, the front, we'll chain ourselves to the doors, to the railings, if necessary. We've even been accused of employing children to help us out in this resistance, in this blockade resistance to removing the family from the property. And of course, the blockade is one of the most emotional things that I have ever been involved in as far as rallies and organizing goes. Because when you see, in most cases, adults can handle it, but when you see a family, like in one case, there was a young girl about 6. And she literally wrapped herself around the post of the front porch because she did not want to leave her home. And there was a police officer that actually got the young lady to let go of the post, and he took her in his arms, and she wrapped herself around him, and she literally asked him, "Do you have to do this?" And he broke down and started crying. So, you know, from that we begin to actually say, when we go to a blockade, when we actually say to the police, you know, you're not the enemy. You're working class, you're working class folks just like us. We're not here, to create trouble. We really don't want to be arrested, but we need you to understand that you play an important role in what we're doing here and the end outcome. The shield. The shield part of what City Life does is just that. The shield is where we use Greater Boston Legal Aid, Harbor Legal Aid, Greater Boston Legal Services, and Harbor Legal Aid, and sometimes students from Suffolk University, BU.
What he's saying is right there also, right? While the blockade is going on, we don't want you to think that that's going on by itself. The lawyers at the same time, the lawyers at the same time are up at the courts trying to say to the bank, look, we have a bank that's trying to buy this house. These people are being thrown onto the house unnecessarily. You know what I mean? So while we're doing the blockade, we're hoping at the same time that does not happen. You see, because the lawyers, the free lawyers, like he says, are up there talking to the judge and to the bank at the same time, trying to persuade the lawyers for the bank to say, no, you can't do this. This is inhumane. You see? And the lawyers are either the person at the family has a bank that's willing to buy the house back for the right value, for the right value of the house, or they're saying at least rent to the people, they can afford to pay the rent. Okay, let's do that instead of kicking them out of the house. Okay? Because a lot of times they have the thing in 60 minutes, I hope you guys saw that, where in Ohio, the bulldozers are in the houses. So on the one hand, the banks are saying they can't lower the principal because they're going to lose money, but at the same time, the bulldozers in the houses in some places. Only up in the Northeast, if that's not happening.
So it's part of City Life's model, and part of its way to resist foreclosure and keeping people in their homes. This combination of these two things working together. The lawyers on the one hand handling the legal matters, and our members on the other hand involved in protests and rallies and visuals to bring immediate attention to the issue and to make the community more aware of what's going on. Sometimes we've been in communities where a homeowner is being foreclosed on, and that homeowner has been in that house 30 years, and the neighbors don't know anything about it, and everybody and a lot of people in the community are going through foreclosure in shame. They don't want to talk about it. They don't want to share with their neighbors. I'm reminded when a bank came out. I think it was Bank of America rep. I'm not sure if it was Bank of America rep, but a bank rep came out, and you may remember that they said that people who walk away from their mortgages, which we call strategical default, they said that there was a moral hazard that they were doing that. There was a moral hazard that individuals were walking away from financial burdens that they couldn't afford to handle. However, The banks were doing the same thing. There were banks that were actually walking away from their own mortgages. As is the case in Chicago, where a bank bought a building, got a mortgage, bought a building. They were supposed to move into the building. 6 months in, they had to move into the building. They did a strategic default. They just stopped paying the mortgage. But if people do it, if private citizens do it, it's a moral hazard. So we realize there's some propaganda going on here that the banks are using, to stigmatize owners who are willing to walk away from the mortgage simply because they understand this is not about our emotions, it's about a financial situation. What I wanted to say before all get cut me off is, I do that a lot. We usually have about, every Tuesday night, we usually have between 100 to 125 people in this space about large as this, and the owners and renters who are going through foreclosure or they live in a building that's being foreclosed on. And we're counseling them. We have information that we give out. We do media literacy, where we teach the language of foreclosure, the language that political parties are using to discuss foreclosure. And, in this 2.5 hours, we're cramming in as much information into these 2.5 hours as we can. And we hope that, the following week, people return. And so far, for the last 2 years, it's been a steady hovering right around 100 to 110 people in the room every Tuesday night for the last 2 years. We have an active caseload of about 900 families. And over the last few years, I think we've actually had actual cases number right around 2,000 cases. When I mean actual cases, because people walk in and it seems like they fill out intake forms. It's a basic information form. Some people fill them out, some people don't. The ones that fill them out become active cases in the city life. Roughly about 2,000 cases in the last 2 years have come through city life. So the offer is, City Life works with a financial organization called Boston Community Capital. And Boston Community Capital is the financial arm of City Life. And what it does is what other banks are not willing to do, and that is buy the homes for the real value and then sell them back to the owners with a new negotiated mortgage. Usually, the mortgage is about 40% lower than the mortgage that was foreclosed on. So the offer is just that Boston Community Capital, with the help of City Life, we protest. We give Boston Community Capital time to put an application together from the homeowner, make sure they qualify for a loan, and then they make an offer to whichever bank that homeowner had a mortgage with to buy that property. And they try to buy it at the real value because, as most of you know, City Life is all about principal reduction. They'll try to buy it as close to the real value as they can, then turn around and sell it back to the owner. It stabilizes the community, it keeps families in their homes, and for the most part, it was the best thing that was going on until the AG got this settled. Until the AG settlement, as small as the AG settlement is, it's better than not having it. So that's the offer. Our key demands: we want to stop evictions. In Boston, we fought to get a no-fault eviction law passed in the state of Massachusetts. So it went from 30 days to 90 days that a tenant can stay in the house. And at the end of 90 days, if the bank still owns the building, it hasn't been sold to an investor, the bank has to negotiate with those tenants to become tenants of the bank. If an investor buys the building, then the investor has to go through the whole eviction process. And what City Life will do, we'll try to create resistance to that process by either making sure that the investor use the 90 days to 120 days of processing that they're supposed to do before they ever actually walk into the house. And usually there's roughly it's around 50 days between the time you purchase the building to the time you pay for the building to the time the title is actually passed from the bank to the new investor. And during those 50 days, City Life is actually resisting the owner, the new owner, even getting into the building if our members are in the building. Principal reduction. I think most of us know what principal reduction is. Principal reduction is demanding that the bank sell property back or rewrite mortgages for the real value of the property. Most homeowners could afford their mortgages if those mortgages were reduced to what the properties are actually worth, as opposed to one of the numbers I came across is some mortgages are being written for as much as 70% above the actual value of the property. So we demand that principal reduction, 70%. If you got a $100,000 house and your mortgage maybe should be around $400 or $500 a month, they write it for $170, and all of a sudden the mortgage is $800 or $900 a month. It makes a big difference if you only make $30,000 a year and you basically qualify for a mortgage of $100,000, $500, $800 a month over a year makes a big difference.
We've had a case where somebody owed like $400,000 on the house, and by the time they finished negotiating and fighting, not just negotiating, but fighting with the blockades, with the lawyers, working hand in hand, right? That $400,000 house has come down to as much as $200,000, $180,000, $150,000, and that's not a joke. So they already knew what was going on when they gave the mortgage. Somehow with this, they're making money, even though it looks like they lost money. They've made a ton of money because people are stupid. You're not going to let me come in your house and eat the food that you work for. Is that right? And that's what they want us to believe. But we know that that's not true. Right? It's true. Okay, so we just want to make sure I understand that part. When we say underwater mortgage, we actually had people who have gotten their house back for that low a price.
I want to say, I know we're short on time, I want to say there's so much we could share, with you as a group. And as Oliver was saying, I got to thinking, we've actually had investors who brought homes, and the City Life will give the real estate company a call, the development company, or whoever that investor works for, and we say, listen, you have one of our members in the property. This member used to be the owner of the property. Would you consider selling that property back to the owner? And investors are, they're like, what? Would you consider selling the property back to the owner? We've actually had investors turn around and sell property back to the owner when the banks wouldn't do it for $5,000 or $7,000 above what they paid for it. So the investors have turned around and actually, offered to rewrite mortgages and sell it back to the owners if the owners could qualify. So there's a lot of creative things that we do to help people stay in their homes. And we don't spare any expense at helping people. Whatever we can do to help them stay in their homes is what we do.
And he talks about the investor. One thing that happened, right? Now you have to understand that this stuff, and I just want to explain this thing. We have to change our mindset. We've been brainwashed for the last 30 years. Okay? So we have to change our mindset. And one of the things here is, let's say Reggie's losing his house. I'm an investor. Okay? Reggie's going with the bank and saying to the bank, look, sell me the house for the right amount. They won't sell it to him. Now, he owes $400,000 in the house. I'm the investor. I'm trying to buy the house myself. They would sell that house to me at the right price, which is, I said, the right price is $200,000. You get it? You get what I'm saying? So they would sell me the house for the right price, right? But not sell him. We've had cases where they agreed to sell him the house at the right price, right? And then they put a clause in it. They go, okay, everything's going good. The day becomes signing the paper, it goes, we'll sell the bank that wants to buy the house for the right price to Reg, right? But you can't sell it back to him. That was the agreement in the first place. That's why we were doing that. You see? So there's all the,
Sorry, I don't know if you said this in the beginning or not, but do you folks just work in Massachusetts, or do you work anywhere in Massachusetts, or do you have a specific footprint?
Well, right now, we're in the city of Boston. We have went as far outside of Boston, if you will, as Brockton, Stoughton, Newton.
So you go to Worcester?
Worcester. Well, one of the things we do, what's happened in the last few years, is City Life has developed expansion organizations. So there's Worcester, no one leaves. There's Springfield, no one leaves. There's Merrimack Valley, no one leaves. There's
Great.
Lynn, no one leaves. And they're all expansion groups of City Life.
Thank you so much for what you do.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely echoing the thank yous for you guys, I mean, what you do and for coming here. I was wondering about additional resources, what you guys might suggest for us looking into, I mean, this whole foreclosure issue. I know it's something that Occupy nationwide has looked into, and just like where are you getting, where's a good place to look for information? And then also the Tuesday nights in Jamaica Plain and East Boston, is that something that people who are able to come to, and if so, where are they? Or can they come somewhere else?
Anyone can come to the Tuesday night meeting. It's open to anyone. Of course, because we're using lawyers that work for, Greater Boston Legal Services as well as Harbor Legal Aid, the legal services are free. So there's no financial burden to anyone that comes to the meeting with regards to using the attorneys. But anyone is welcome to come to a Tuesday night meeting. They're in Jamaica Plain at 284 Armory Street in Jamaica Plain, which is now the Samuel Adams Brewery.
Yeah, Samuel Adams.
So we got City Life in the
Can't miss that. You guys like beer. Can't miss that. Samuel Adams Brewery.
Is there a website, or how can we get in touch?
On his T-shirt.
What I have here is flyers with all that information.
Oh, okay, all right, awesome. I kind of figured I was scouring this before I asked.
I almost forgot I brought it.
Do you have some more questions?
I tell you what, the bottom section of this, the bottom section was referred to as the 5 masses. We do outreach. The way we do outreach is that we use Bankers and Tradesmen's magazine, and attorneys that work for Greater Boston Harbor Legal Aid actually use that magazine to track foreclosed properties, list them, give them to us. And we have volunteers from universities and high schools and from our membership go out and canvass different neighborhoods around Boston and invite them. They get a flyer like this pink one that's going around and a few other things, and they're invited to come to our meetings. The mass meeting I spoke of earlier is that meeting where we have roughly 100 people in the room on every Tuesday night from 6 to 8:30. The mass casework is what we take the individuals that are going through foreclosure, we sit them down with an attorney. If they're not at the place where they need an attorney, like they just got a notice to quit, which means the bank is about to start foreclosure proceedings, we have organizers that walk through that with the homeowners and the tenants, which source they need. They need tenant right information or homeowner information. The mass actions are all the actions we just talked about, the protests, the vigils, the block rebellions, our attorneys that, now the attorneys don't take on individual cases and walk through the whole case. What we do is we try to empower the individuals to mediate for themselves. So we basically give them the information, and on the days that they have housing court in Boston, it's Tuesdays and Thursdays, Tuesdays and Fridays, we'll have attorneys that will be available to our members if they have questions, if they need a little support in the courtroom. And we also have members that go to the court, I don't know if some of you may or may not have heard of Casey Bailey, who's got a case before the SJC.
Cringe Court.
Thank you. And Casey is a regular at housing court because he's done such a great job on his representing himself